with faith. Remember the times so fine when we thought that nothing could stand in our way. That things weren't the same. The life that we knew had to change. We struggled through.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, all these were key themes. And quite often the themes which you consider to be important, you retain, because nation building has not ended. And nation building is going to take a long, long time. Now, when I say nation building as distinguished from the kind of normal progress, is that you have to have accelerated development. You have to tackle a whole series of things: your housing, your education, your communication, your external relations, the whole lot. So my poetry, the early poetry, you know, there are lyrical poems where you celebrate flowers.
That's right, beauty.
Beauty, or even a moment. I have a poem of a girl passing by, and I have a line there: that moment, even the most high gods forgot their anger to watch her pass. Now, there are things like that, but there are also poems that dealt with social problems. You know, poverty, and little boys smoking cigarettes and so on. Places where I grew up. So, but one of the consistent underlying themes was national development, taken in a broad sense. But I wrote poems, not propaganda, hopefully. They were not tracks. So that as part of the challenge was to evolve an ideolect, a language that is your own, that identifies you. Okay, so the early poems dealt with issues, for instance, of language, of creativity, of relation building, and of course the personal experience as friends. You know, and when you're infatuations and so on at that age, you know, you start observing life and context, as it were.
But initially, I guess there's a lot of post-colonial chaos happening in Singapore at the time, right? I think, but how hard it was to grow up as a writer, as a literary figure.
The chaos consisted really of racial riots. And this is because of the mix and because of the politics. But the riot started when we were still a colony, you know. 1954. They had riots. The British had introduced national service, and the Chinese school students agitated, and they went on strike and so on and so on. Now, so it was in a way chaotic. But you know, you make poetry out of life. You make poetry out of discontent. You make poetry out of celebration. So it doesn't matter. Because poetry arises from strong feeling. And sometimes dissatisfaction is the strongest feeling you know. So it didn't pose special problems really. And in a way, when you just write poems, you're not conscious of saying, look, you know, I'm writing poetry. You just write. You know, it's only in retrospect that you see what you were trying to do, where you are coming from, and where you're going to. You know, so the phrase for me is, I write as I please, or I write as I write. You know, it's you don't get up and say, look, I'm going to write a poem about this today. No, it comes, and quite often the first line that comes to you might not be in the poem when it's finished. You know, it's like a prop, it's like a scaffolding that gets you going. And once it's served its function, it drops away. It's like a booster rocket. You know, they get detached. You see. So I wasn't the only one. In fact, at the university, I went up to university in 1953,
That's the Malaya University as it was known then.
Yes, but it was located in Singapore.
Right, that's true. But it's called Malaya.
University of Malaya in Singapore.
That's right.
Because the university is located in Singapore.
That's right.
It's only in 1959 that it bifurcated, that they established a campus in Malaysia, Malaysia at that time in Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
So you had 2 principals and 1 vice chancellor.
Okay.
And half the staff, more or less, especially in medicine, moved up to Malaya.
Yep.
The vice dean went and became dean there.
Yeah.
The deputy head of this or that went there, and so on.
Yeah, you were in the English department anyway. But during the nation building period in the 40s and the 50s, do you have trouble picking your favorite language for your poetry?
No. You see, this is the problem. By the time you decide to write poetry, it is too late to pick your language. It's a language you have that you use. You got no choice.
Yep.
You don't say, look, I'm going to write in Chinese or Tamil and Malay. It's too late. Because when I started writing in about 1950 or 17, 18, English was already my main language.
Okay.
And remember, main language, not mother tongue, because my mother tongue was Teochew, a Chinese language. So English became my main language from about the age of 9.
9, okay. Spoken in the family, I suppose.
Absolutely. Spoken in family, at school, among your playmates, because your playmates are multiracial.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You're multiracial, so the link language, the common language is English.
Okay.
So English became installed in me as my main language. That's why they say mother tongue. I said, no, it's my main language. And it doesn't mean if it's main language and not mother tongue, it's weaker. Because don't forget, your main language is the only language.
Right.
In my case, I spoke Teochew at home.
Okay.
And a smattering of Malay. But it was English that I invested my life in, and that infected and control and suffused itself throughout my own life.
Right. Does the use of English language in your poetry has any benefits in your literary career in comparison with
in some ways, yes. It gives you a larger audience, leadership, in theory.
How much your personal faith influences your poetry? You seem to be a little bit religious to me, right?
I'm trying to be a good Christian.